Hey guys, I'm Luke, and thanks for checking out the subaruOnly channel. It's a channel where all I do is Subaru builds and Subaru Motorsport events. Today's video is about cylinder heads, and it's more of an instructional video on how you bolt and how you torque down the cylinder head to a short block. It's a continuation video in a series I'm doing on replacing head gaskets in a 2000 Forester. Let's check it out. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is prep the surface on your short block. Alright, this pretty much shows what kind of surface you want to get it down to. I just used a Scotch-Brite pad and worked it down, so it was a nice smooth surface. There's some little areas where there'll be some staining, that's not a problem. For the most part, you just want to get it perfectly smooth, and if you put your thumbnail over it and you don't feel any ridges, then you'll be good to go. Alright, once you have your surface prepped so that you're ready for your head gasket down, you're going to want to just give one final wipe down on the inside of the cylinder wall and lubricate the inside of the cylinder walls using something like 30 weight oil or an engine assembly lube. Here's what I use. This is a Redline engine assembly lube. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, and we'll get this thing ready to put the head gaskets down and continue on and drop the cylinder heads on. Alright, head gasket time. So I'm using a pair of Feld Pro, and I'll be using the multi-layer steel head gasket set, 2.5 liters. So always take a look at your little sheet that comes with your head gaskets and your gasket kit. Make sure it's for the right build. These are the multi-layer steel gaskets. They're actually going to have some markings on the surface of the gasket, and on this one right up here it says made in USA, and this is up right there, so you put that facing up. Alright, this is pretty much what it looks like when you set it down on your short block. So basically just make sure that the cylinder bores line up correctly, make sure that the up insignia is facing up, and make sure that all the coolant passages, so these are all the coolant passages, they're right on the outside of the cylinder bore. Make sure these coolant passages all line up with the slots that are in the head gasket. Alright, I'm getting ready to put the cylinder head on. I've already put the gasket on. You don't put any kind of sealer or anything else on that gasket. You just put the gasket on the short block dry, and then you take your cylinder head. Make sure you have the right cylinder head. I'm putting on cylinders 1 and 3 right now, so I'll be putting on cylinder head now. Line it up. Alright, so pretty much just line it up on those big alignment dowels, drop it down, and then start dropping down the head bolts and tightening it up. Alright, as you start putting these bolts in, you're going to want to put oil on the threads of these bolts. So make sure you lube them up with some 30 weight oil. Also put some oil on the face of the washer, on both sides of this washer, so that when these bolts are going down to the head and you start torquing them, all the surfaces that are rotating have like a little thin film of oil, like the threads down here and the washer surfaces up there. So oil them up with a little 30 weight. You're also going to need a socket set, right? So these cylinder head bolts use a 14 millimeter 12-point socket. So get a 12-point 14 millimeter. You need a good torque wrench also. This is just a Craftsman brand. It's digital. I really like it. It's been really reliable. So pick yourself up a torque wrench, and that's pretty much the last piece you need. Just torque these heads down. Alright, I don't know if you guys noticed behind me, but on my whiteboard I had written out kind of the 6 steps that I'm going to be using to tighten these head bolts down. So basically the first round is 22 pounds, and you have to tighten bolts in a specific sequence that's on the figure in the shop workbook, in the shop manual. Then I'll do 51 pounds, then I back them off 180 degrees 2 times, so 180 degrees for all of the bolts in the specific sequence, and then another round of 180 degrees backing off in the same sequence. Then only 2 of the bolts, the 2 middle bolts, get torqued down to 25 foot-pounds, and then the outer 4 get torqued down to 11 foot-pounds, and then all the bolts get rotated 80 to 90 degrees once, in the same specific sequence, and then you rotate them all again another 80 to 90 degrees for a total of 160 to 180 degrees, and in that same specific sequence. Alright, I got my torque wrench. I set it to 22 foot-pounds, which is the first round torque. These require torque in a specific sequence, so I've gone ahead and labeled the bolts on the heads of them. So I'm going to torque them down to the first setting, which is 22 foot-pounds. Do it nice and gently with a nice firm, controlled stroke. Waiting to hear that 22 foot-pounds. Alright, there's the first one. Hear the click. There was the second one. A, B, A. Next setting is 51 pounds. So I'll adjust my torque wrench to 51 pounds. Do the second round torque in the same sequence, A through F. Okay, these are all torqued down to 51 foot-pounds. Step 3 is backing them off 180 degrees in that same specific sequence. Okay, to back these guys off, I'm actually not going to use my torque wrench. I'm going to use a breaker bar. because I don't want to damage the torque wrench. Torque wrench has a lot of sensitive little mechanisms in it. So anytime you're going to be backing off any bolts that are tightened down pretty tight, don't use your torque wrench, use it as a breaker bar. Alright, that's the first round of 180 degrees backing them off. Now I'll go ahead and do the second round of another 180 degrees backing them off in the same sequence. Alright, I've backed them all off, full 180 degrees now. I'm ready to move on to step 4. Step 4 is tightening the 2 middle bolts to 25 foot-pounds. So let's go back to the torque wrench, set it to 25 foot-pounds, and tighten down the first 2 bolts. Alright, and step 5 is to tighten the other 4 bolts down to 11 foot-pounds. So I'll adjust my torque wrench to 11 foot-pounds. Alright, the torque wrench is 11 foot-pounds. Now I can go ahead and tighten the rest of these guys. I've tightened the rest of the bolts down to 11 foot-pounds, and now it's on to the final step where I'll do 2 rounds of 80 to 90 degrees tightening for all the bolts. Alright, that's the first round of 80 to 90 degrees of tightening. Now I'll do the second round, another 80 to 90 degrees. Alright, that's it. Did the second round of 80 to 90 degrees of rotation in that same specific sequence, and this head is done. So now all I have to do is flip over the engine, do the same thing to the other head, and I'll have both heads with new head gaskets bolted on the engine. I'll wrap the video up here today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I'm Luke. This is a Subaru only channel. On this channel all I do is Subaru builds and motorsport events with Subaru vehicles. If you like the videos, please subscribe, leave a comment, like it. I really appreciate it. If you have any suggestions or if you have any questions about what I'm doing in the videos, feel free to ask. So this is Luke again. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. See you next time.